making a run at it, aren't you? Rolling up a steak and going to Vegas.
Welcome to the #1 poker radio show in the world. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. 1 full hour of poker news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises. The phone lines are open at 702-731-1230. That's 702-731-1230. Or toll free. 1-866-820-5528. That's 1-866-820-KLAV. Now let's bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
All right, everybody, and we are live from, we're everywhere. Joe Pane in the house over there in Las Vegas. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? How's Florida?
Well, it got a little colder down here.
Well, it's pretty cold here in Vegas. For Vegas, it's cold anyway.
Just a tad. Nate Dowland is flying around there as well. Nate, what's up?
What's going on? I'm via Skype.
Yes, Nate is dying, but he is hanging in there, so he's going to be doing this show from home, and I'm doing the show from the Seminole Hard Rock here in Hollywood, Florida, covering the Rock and Roll Poker Open. Having a great time down here in Florida, and we're all coming together for a great show here on the Mark Hoke Show. We want to thank everybody for joining us here on KLAV 1230 AM, and those of you out there on the interwebs at KLAV1230am.com. So, guys, what's going on? I hear it got a little chilly. Just a little. What's going on?
Just a little.
It's just normal. Just a cold breeze came through. It's okay though. You know, it's when the weather is this good. When I say this good, not right now. When the weather's good as it is, 11 and a half months of the year, and you look at Buffalo, we're okay.
Yeah, that is
anything is okay
true.
compared to Buffalo right now. Holy cow!
Oh, how miserable is that? It even got cold down here. I wanted to say that I'm here from sunny, Hollywood, Florida, but it is cloudy. It chilled up a little bit. Yeah, so we're all kind of going through the same thing, but obviously now with 2 or 3 feet of snow on the ground. Hey, we're very excited today, by the way. Chad Holloway is going to be calling in. He's going to be our special guest today on the show. Of course, he is a syndicated columnist, poker writer for Poker News, WSOP bracelet winner, and just all-around great American. So we're going to look forward to having Chad on the show here in just a couple of minutes. But, of course, first, it's news time. Let's hit the read.
Scanning the poker tables from around the world. This is The Read, brought to you by the Nevada Poker League. Play poker for free and win cash at locations all across Las Vegas. Visit NevadaPokerLeague.com today.
All right, and a decent amount going on around the poker world, but let's hit first what is happening down here at the Seminole Hard Rock, because we are, of course, have a $2 million main event guarantee. It's going to be coming off here right after Thanksgiving. We do have a couple of winners here at Seminole Hard Rock. The first one, we want to make sure that we get to mention that, hey, we had a big kickoff here. Guys, $350 buy-in, $500,000 guarantee. $350 could have gotten you a massive piece of this prize pool. Yeah, and first place was officially over $111,000. We had a 5-way chop on this one down here. The guys decided they were done after 3 days of play. Ori Hen is declared your champion out of Cooper City, Florida. He gets out of that 111. They split that money pretty well. Ori gets $66,780. Daniel Francis gets $63,548. Vasily Leschenko, 2 Russians at the final table of this, believe it or not, $59,373. Richard Clayton out of St. Louis, $59,308. And Benjamin Garcia picks up $55,639 for their efforts in event number 1 to kick this thing off. We also had another big winner. The young lady who won the Seminole Hard Rock Series that goes on down here through Florida manages to pick off her second championship, winning the $1,100 Six-Max. And get this, guys, after a brutal 3-handed session that lasted for hours and hours, to hit the 3 a.m. cutoff, she decided didn't want to come back. Comes back the next day, and in 15 minutes, finishes Darren Stabinski off and wins $30,000 in the Six Max title. How about that?
That's awesome.
That's pretty impressive. But can we, Mark, if we can go back like 10 seconds there, that's very unusual for a major tournament to have that much of a multi-way chop. You don't see that happening too often, where 5 players are chopping the first 5 spots, basically. And it sounds like, based upon the amounts, it looks like it was a chip count chop.
Yeah, they did. They did an ICM model on that, and it's been interesting because we've down here, for the couple of series that I've covered, they tend to do a lot of chops here. Not many of these tournaments have gone all the way so far. I think out of the first 6 events, I think 4 of them got chopped. So
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's been pretty interesting. There's been a lot of wild play going on. We've seen it in so many of these events already, and of course they're wrapping up event 7 right now as we speak. That was a $150 buy-in with a $150,000 guarantee. So
you are saying that chopping down there is kind of par for the course?
It seems to be. Nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. I just know that it's unheard of, unspoken, that it doesn't happen at the World Series at all.
Yeah, and a lot of places
in the deep stacks it does.
Yeah, a lot of places have a policy. They don't talk about those chops very much, but they're very open about it here. If people chop, they chop, and that's how it is. So, but it's been a very interesting series so far down here. And, of course, once again, I want to remind you, if you want to get out of the cold, it's not perfect down here at the moment. If you want to get out of the cold, you can come down here to Seminole Hard Rock, play in this series, and of course, the big $2 million guarantee main event starting off on Friday the 28th, and that runs through the 3rd. It's going to be broadcast by Poker Night in America, too. Their team's going to come in and cover that event along with doing some tapings for the show, so it should be pretty cool. Looking forward to some more excitement here. And, of course, we're going to have shows live here for you at markhokeshow.com for our internet show, and also, if you want to see all the action, just go to shrpo.com. All right, so we got that covered. Dan Coleman's at it again, guys. Did you see this?
I did not.
He just loves to gabble.
Are you talking about Phil Hellmuth when he called out Phil Hellmuth?
Yes.
Yeah, that I did say, yes.
Yeah, so Dan Coleman made some comments on the website that shall remain nameless, as called the Phil Hellmuth a spineless and a cancer to this world, and then a few days later decided, hey, let's have some more fun and dig a hole even more, as he tried to quote-unquote clarify his comments and managed to backhand Hellmuth even more and pull Ryan Reese into it too. So some pretty interesting articles that Chad wrote on Poker News on that topic. But boy, Dan Coleman just keeps putting himself in a hole, guys, doesn't he? Wow.
You know what? I think Dan knows exactly what he's doing, and he's he's maybe the opposite of Phil, who constantly promotes himself and is always telling people how great he is, where Dan takes the other side of the coin and tells you how bad poker is and doesn't want to give it any additional coverage, refused to grant any interviews after winning the one drop, wore a politically slanted T-shirt at one of his latest events. So Dan is the other side of Phil Hellmuth, I think. And you know what? The old saying, any publicity is good publicity. So
I suppose that may be the tact he's taken. We'll talk to Chad more about that in just a second. We also want to mention, and I'm going to save this one too, but real quick, we want to send a congratulations out to Kevin Flap Boudreau, who, of course, collapsed at a Subway restaurant at the World Series in 2013. He made his debut, returned to the tables at a Mid-States Poker Tour event. And so he is back there, and actually, I believe, finished 4th in the main event he played. So we'll get to talk to Chad more about that one. That was another one of his articles on Poker News. And we also have a special announcement we got to make real quick, guys. I'm excited about this. Nate, you're excited about this, right?
I am.
All right, I will. Nate and I are going to be going up to the 2-Pair Poker Tour event in Eugene, Oregon. That's right. We're going to Duck Country. We're very excited about that. To cover the 2-Pair Poker Tour event going on August 5th through the 14th. That is going to be at, give me one second here, the High Mountain Poker Palace. 8 live streams, plus doing live coverage. So I'm going to be doing the commentary on that. So Nate and I are going to be busy boys.
It's going to be fun up there.
Hey, Mark, I think you just said August as opposed to December.
Oh, did I
he
say
did.
August? I'm thinking August. I apologize. December. Good God. Oh,
I didn't want to correct you, but I thought if anybody was interested, they thought, well, I got enough time. I got till August to.
November
yeah. I apologize.
See,
it's been a hard day's night down here. We'll just leave it at that.
I do pay attention.
I love making mistakes on the air. You guys are awesome. But yeah, the series run December 4th through the 14th. If you want to get more information, go to the #2pairpoker.net, and you can check out all the action. Lon McCarron's going to be stopping by up there too, along with the team pros for 2 pairs. So make sure you check that out. It's going to be a great time.
Sounds like a
Nate,
plan.
are you ready? Nate, are you ready?
I'm packing right now, Mark. I can't wait to get out of town for 10 days. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it should be an awesome time. All right, and speaking of awesome times, how about we get our featured guest on the show here? Let's put him on the line. Is there anything that this guy cannot do? He is Chad Holloway. Chad, how are you, my friend?
I am doing fairly well. Thanks for having me on the show.
Chad, I got to say, you're up in Wisconsin, and I saw the picture of you at the Packers game. You looked extremely cold. Tell us a little bit about what's going on up there in Wisconsin right now.
Yeah, it's certainly cold up here. That being the case, at least we haven't had the snow that they've had, like, say, in Buffalo. We've had maybe 1 inch, maybe 2 inches so far this winter, but, that's not too bad by our standards. Just a little cold, but break off the winter coat and go.
Yeah, so you're getting off light right now. But Chad, I do have to ask you, the picture that I saw of you at the Packers game, what was the little white fuzzy things on your head? Because it looked kind of odd.
It's actually an old bomber's cap that was over the top of my hood, so it looked like it was really high up and kind of back. It kind of looked a little strange, but it kept me really warm, so I was willing to sacrifice the style points.
That's all you can do. You let the style points go. You go for self-preservation. Good call on your part, Mr. Holloway. So, Chad, let's get into this. So much happening right now, and I'm going to tackle first this Dan Coleman situation that you've been covering on Poker News. This thing just seems to get crazier and crazier. But I want to go from a different direction, and Joe kind of mentioned it too. Is this a plan by Dan Coleman to get attention in a different way?
I don't think so. I think it's just simply him having a harsh reaction to, in this case, it was a podcast that he was listening to Helmuth on. I think he, saw the threat on 2+2, was a little heated over it, and said what he said, about being a cancer to the game and spineless. And I don't think he anticipated it blowing up as big as it did, between the news sites reporting on it. And a lot of passionate players are out there regarding Helmuth, either fans of his or critics of his. And, they jumped on it. They seized on this. And, some agreed with Coleman, others didn't. I just don't think he anticipated it getting as big and as quickly as it did. And that is maybe why we've seen him kind of backtrack a little bit in his follow-up comments.
Well, was the backtrack effective? Because, I know when I went through it, and the reaction that I've been getting from a lot of people is, wow, he really, he tried to backtrack, but then he threw a couple more insults out there, and then he even, took a pot shot at Ryan Reese in there too. When you saw this, I mean, what's your reaction to what he said to follow up?
It's funny. My first reaction is this guy needs to, hire an agent or a PR person, which kind of is contradictory for what he's going for. He doesn't want to be involved in any of that. He doesn't like that side of poker. But if that's the case, then he probably shouldn't say anything at all. Stop posting in the forums, because the fact of the matter is, you won the biggest tournament of the year. You've also won, numerous other tournaments. You're having the best year of any poker player in the world. So right now you're under a spotlight, and anything that you say, is going to be, scrutinized or magnified. And, especially when you attack one of the game's, most prominent players in Phil Hellmuth. So I think, his best bet, if he really doesn't want to be in the poker spotlight, if he really doesn't want to promote the game or, do the publicity side of things, is just don't say anything at all. Maybe that goes for saying the follow-up comments too. Maybe he would have been better off served just not saying anything at all instead of trying to, explain himself. But a little part of me thinks he must he must care a little bit about, the poker world's perception of him if he's trying to clarify like that.
Well, to me, it's coming off as trollish. I mean, the things that he's saying and the way he's doing it and the places that he's doing it. There's nobody to challenge him on what he's saying except, he just puts it up and off he goes. And I think that this is really going to eventually catch up to him in terms of his legacy if he doesn't settle this out. If he wants to change the game, wouldn't the best way to do it would be to go out and get out there and make the changes that he wants to see in the game so things get better, as opposed to just kind of being the troll under the bridge and just pulling everybody down as they walk over it.
Well, I'm not so sure he wants to be the inspiration for that change. I don't think he wants to take that responsibility. I think he wants to see the game change, but I don't think he's willing to step up to the plate, so to speak. And in which case kind of does make it a little bit trollish, as you say, but he's stated from the get-go that he doesn't want to have that sort of responsibility in the game. And I always try to keep that in mind when I'm assessing him and reading about the things that he says or does.
Hey, I'm sorry. Hey, Chad, I just have a quick question for you. For someone like you who's kind of an ambassador yourself as far as the media side of poker, do you see Phil Hellmuth as a good ambassador for poker, or do you think he has too many skeletons in his closet from the Ultimate Bet scandal that kind of takes that polish away from him?
I think what Phil's done for the game over the years has been tremendous as far as introducing it to new players and bringing it mainstream. I mean, look at some of the commercial deals he's had in the past. He's without a doubt one of the top, I'd say, 3 or 4 players as far as exposure. When people think poker, a lot of them think Phil Hellmuth. He does have a little bit of a past, specifically with Ultimate Bet, and he has addressed that minimally, to the point where people aren't satisfied, and a lot of people, hold that against him. It might behoove him to address those things, but that said, it is a little bit in the past now, especially with Full Tilt and things like that coming to light. So, I'm sure in his perspective, he's just looking towards the future, looking to move on. And, to be honest, that past hasn't really, pulled him down too much. Maybe he doesn't feel, that pressure to address it. So I understand, his forward thinking. I also kind of think, too, a lot of people had brought up his association with Ultimate Bet, and they're quick to criticize him with that. And it never ceases to amaze me how they're willing to do that with, say, Phil Hellmuth, but you don't hear people harping on, Phil Ivey's connection with Full Tilt Poker and representing them. And, so, I think a lot boils down to, Phil Hellmuth is a lot more unlikable, if you will, than Ivey. He's very polarizing. People love him or hate him. It's easy to do both. And so I think that just plays into it. And, I think the fans of Hellmuth are easy and willing to forgive him, whereas the critics aren't so quick to act.
Yeah, I think Phil Ivey actually bought himself some kudos by boycotting the World Series, when not the World Series itself, but he felt that he shouldn't be playing events while people didn't get their money from Full Tilt to be able to play these events. And I thought that was kind of good of him to even do that. He literally took a year off from playing when there's this big race for bracelets that are going on among the top players.
Yeah, there's no doubt that, Ivey garnered a lot of goodwill from that. And,
right.
And it was a huge story at the time. I remember writing it up and stuff. And as far as him getting disassociate himself from a bad scandal, Ivey certainly did a much better job than Hellmuth had.
Absolutely, yep. And I think that's why Phil is much, when I say Phil Ivey is probably not held accountable as much as Phil Hellmuth is, because of his inability to come forward and address the situation.
Yeah, I agree with that.
A good point.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's a great point, and like I mentioned before, it might behoove Hellmuth to say, okay, I'm finally going to, put everything to rest. I'm going to sit down and, either do an interview, maybe pen a long blog, or, devote some attention to finally clear this thing up and lay it all out there. So I'm a firm believer, after everything I've experienced as a reporter in the poker world, that transparency is the best thing. Just lay it all out there. I've had people come to me on certain situations asking my advice on how they should proceed, and I say, don't hold anything back. Just throw it all out there and let the community, absorb it and take it for what it's worth. And I think, maybe Helmuth should put all his cards on the table as far as Ultimate Bet was concerned.
Yeah, I think that he would be better served if he did that.
And I one side note that came out of this whole thing with Dan Coleman too was someone suggested, well, let's look into Dan Coleman's past, and then Dan came out and admitted that he had actually used multiple accounts in his career, and he was smart enough to jump on that before that showed up, and then he was going to have to start answering questions about that. So give Dan Coleman some credit on that in terms of being forthright and and putting it out there, so he was the one to control the story as opposed to somebody else. So at least let's give Dan credit on that one.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a very wise move for him to do that. The fact of the matter is everybody, at some point in their life does something that, they might regret or they're not proud of, myself included. But people do change, As Coleman said, that was, back when he was a teenager, and now he's 24. It's in his past. He doesn't do those things anymore. So keeping things like that in mind, I do believe people change. And, I give them the benefit of the doubt when it's that far removed.
Yeah, but I don't think that when Dan Coleman was multi-counting there, I don't think he was doing it for cheating purposes. What I think he was doing is that he wanted to be able to play without anybody having a so-called book on him. So he was, playing under a different facade, so to speak. But it wasn't.
That's still cheating.
I don't think that's cheating at all, Nate. Why is that cheating for? So you can make a name. You can name yourself.
Rules.
No, you can name yourself.
On the same platform.
You can name yourself the Grinder. No one knows who you are. Are you the real Grinder? Or then you can change your name to, I don't know, the Penguin. But you're the same player. You're not deceiving anyone. I mean, the whole thing about poker is being able to read a player, and if you can somehow play under a different name, you're still playing with your money. You're not cheating. You're not seeing anyone's whole cards. What is the difference what your name is online? I just don't get that.
Yeah, I think that just opens up a whole new discussion between the the right and wrong of multi-accounting and certain other things. Take another Phil Ivey example with his edge sorting. Is edge sorting cheating? Is it that terribly wrong? I've seen people argue both sides of it. The fact of the matter is it is explicitly against the rules of both edge sorting and multi-accounting, and so one way or the other they broke those rules. Whether or not it was right or wrong, certainly up for debate.
If you're multi-accounting and sitting at the same table, yes, that's cheating. But if you're multi-accounting and playing separately, one at a time, I don't think that's cheating. And as far as edge sorting, it's the casino's responsibility to put cards on the table that are not able to be read by players because of an error in the printing from the manufacturer. So I don't think Phil Ivey did anything wrong in being able to see that certain cards on the baccarat table had a different edge to them than others did, and he took advantage of that. It's not Phil's fault. He didn't put the cards on the table. So I'm a firm believer what he did over in Europe and over in New Jersey is not cheating. It's taking advantage of a situation that anyone who's at that table has the ability to take advantage of if they observe. And poker and blackjack and all the casino games is about observation, not cheating.
Wow, great points from everybody there. Well, we sure took that in a different direction than I was planning, but that was awesome. Unfortunately, we do have to take a commercial break, though, so let's get that break, and we're going to come right back more with Nate Dowland, Joe Pane, and our special guest, Chad Holloway, right after this.
PokerShop.com is your one-stop shop for all your poker and game room needs. PokerShop.com has you covered with an incredible variety of poker chips and supplies, top-quality playing cards, plus gaming tables and room accessories, just like you'd find in your favorite casino. And if you're looking to spruce up your man cave, we offer a wide selection of decor options, from lighting to mirrors and portable bars to bub stools, to make your game room the one all your friends and family will be talking about. So for everything you need to make your your game night a great night. Go to www.pokershop.com and receive 10% off your purchase with the code HOKE. HOKE. You supply your friends. We supply everything else. Live it. Love it. Pokershop.com.
One man, his lucky shirt, an unforgettable night, and a winning streak that never seemed to end. That's how Blind Squirrel began, and we haven't looked back since. We make the clothes that we want to wear for the places where we want to look and feel our best. The game, the speakeasy, and the casino floor. Blind Squirrel's small batch, high-quality gear is for people too busy grabbing life by the nuts to bother with crappy, ill-fitting clothing. Because like you, we prefer our nights long, our drinks strong, and our lucky shirt to be our most comfortable. So look good, be lucky, and visit blindsquirrelapparel.com for your new favorite shirt. As an added bonus, you'll receive 20% off your purchase with the promo code HOKE, H-O-K-E. You can also pick up Blind Squirrel apparel at the Borgata in Atlantic City and in Las Vegas at all Masura stores at Mandalay Bay, Monte Carlo, The Mirage, and MGM Grand. Look good and be lucky with Blind Squirrel apparel.
I'm Dutch Boyd, two-time WSOP bracelet winner, and I want to share my story with you. 12 years as a pro has taught me a lot. For the last year, I've boiled it all down into a tell-all book, 90,000 words. In Poker Tilt, I take you on my journey through all the ups and downs that poker has to offer, all the manic highs and hellish lows of every bad beat and lucky draw. So go to www.pokertilt.com to read more, or just go buy the new book on Amazon or Kindle. Right now, pokertilt.com. I guarantee you'll enjoy the ride.
It's time for you to check out RogueWire.com. News, sports, entertainment, and the internet home of The Mark Hoke Show. Don't wait. Let the sparks fly from your computer at RogueWire.com. And of course, RogueWire.com is powered by BlueRail.net. For over 2 years, The Mark Hoke Show has trusted BlueRail.net as their exclusive host, and you can too. Visit BlueRail.net for top-level web hosting, website building and maintenance, one-on-one customer service, and much more. It's time to get on board with your winning combination. BlueRail.net and RogueWire.com. How far do you want to go?
RunGoodGear.com is one of poker's premier online stores for apparel. Their mission is to provide poker players with stylish and comfortable clothes for their daily grind. You've probably seen Run Good Gear at the World Series of Poker through Run Good Poker Pro Rob Salaburo, or around the country through the WSOP circuit. Today, RunGoodGear.com is the place to go to gear up for the poker vote. So go there now with the promo code HOKE, that's H-O-K-E, for 10% off your entire online purchase. Remember Hoke. Now go gear up. There's nothing better than sitting down to play poker with good friends and cutting loose. And that's what you're going to find when you tune in to Poker Night in America. Poker Night in America is revolutionizing televised poker in a big way. With all the action you love and the hilarious fun you've been missing. Come take a seat at the table with all your favorite players, old and new, with Poker Night in America. Sunday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific on CBS Sports Network. And don't forget to visit the show online at PokerNight.com. So pull up a chair and join us Sundays on Poker Night in America.
Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Then follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show and like our Facebook page at The Mark Hoke Show for show news and outstanding poker content from around the world. Plus, enjoy the show anytime by subscribing to our podcasts on iTunes or at markhokeshow.podbean.com. We're even on your mobile phone at markhokeshow.podbean.com/mobile. Thanks for listening and being a part of The Mark Hoke Show.
Now, let's return to The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
And we are back live here on KLAV 1230 AM, the talk of Las Vegas. And for all of you out there on the internet at KLAV1230am.com, Nate Dowland, Joe Pane, and of course, Chad Holloway, the man who just anything he touches turns to gold. Right, Chad?
I wish it was that easy, but thank you very much.
Yeah. So, well, let's talk about another big story that happened here in Nevada. And, of course, Ultimate Poker has gone down. It shut down operations in New Jersey and then ceased operations in Nevada. And, boy, Chad, what is your reaction to this? I know Terrence Chan actually put up a post about this, and I didn't get a chance to see it, that you guys have on PokerNews.com. What are your thoughts about Ultimate going down in the state of online poker in the United States?
when it first broke last Friday, I can't say that I was surprised. I mean, mumblings around the poker world have been, that Ultimate Poker was circling the drain for actually quite a while. I think I kind of heard, that first they might be in trouble about a year back. And so I wasn't necessarily surprised. I was definitely sad to see it happen because, it's a big blow to the poker world. It's the first online poker site that was, operating and legalized in the United States, when Nevada passed legislation. And here they are going out of business. So you know that the mainstream media is going to take note and they're going to report on it, and it's going to reflect badly, I think, on the poker world. That being said, if there was a silver lining to it, it was reflected today in the Las Vegas Review-Journal in an editorial that they released, is that some people might see this and say, hey, why did this happen? What's going wrong? And if they look close enough, they're going to realize that the whole intra-state model isn't working. States aren't passing legislation as fast as is expected, and it's just kind of, plateauing. So if people look at that and say, hey, that's not working, it might reignite a little bit of a fire underneath the interstate, the federal talk of online poker, which is what the Las Vegas Review-Journal did today in their editorial. That's basically what they called for. They said, online poker should not be, against the law or what have you. There should be some federal legislation. We got to make this happen. It's kind of silly that this is, happening the way it's happening, especially with Ultimate Poker. They had great software, great people, but they were handcuffed by, the political system. And so if there is a silver lining to it all, I think that's it. And I hope, other people pick up and echo the sentiments that the Las Vegas Review-Journal expressed today.
Well, is it time for gaming officials from New Jersey and Nevada to sit down and say enough's enough? Let's, cut this out, and at least have us to get together and start working on this to be able to share our player pools, to at least build things up a little bit in the meantime before any interstate legislation happens.
Yeah, I think that would be a fantastic idea for them to do. They're both hurting. Obviously, Ultimate Poker left New Jersey first. Now they've left Nevada. We all know about Atlantic City and the troubles that they're going through. So it could just be a big, boost if they not only get together and discuss it and announce that they're going to do it like Nevada and Delaware did, but to actually make it happen and have these players playing against each other. I think it would bring some positive attention. It would get the attention of some other states, and, it definitely would be a step in the right direction.
All right. And, well, of course, the World Series main event just finished up, and, I know you're very familiar with these players. Of course, Martin Jacobson winning that thing last week. First, tell us a little bit about your interactions with him and where you expect him to be able to take the poker world as a representative over the next year and beyond.
I'll say with the World Series, I actually had a rare opportunity to play fanboy. Usually I'm working such events, but this time they had people in Vegas, so I actually got to sit home and watch it on TV. I avoided any spoilers, and I just was a fan of poker and watched it, which was a great experience. As for Martin Jacobson, I've actually known him for a while, mainly from the EPTs and other events, and he's a great player. He would have been my pick to win it had he been in better chip position, but as we know, he was 8th out of 9th chips, entering the final table. So I thought, that's a big disadvantage. I thought he would be out fairly early. Obviously, that didn't happen. As we all saw on ESPN, he played flawlessly, he played patiently, and I think it's just a testament to his skill that he finished day 1A of that tournament as chip leader and then went on to win it. Of course, he wasn't chip leader throughout, but it just shows you the consistency that he has as a tournament poker player. As far as being an ambassador, I think he's going to do a great job. A lot of people didn't know about Martin Jacobson, but he is a professional. He had over $4 million in tournament winnings, and he really is the first, in my opinion, big-name pro that's won the main event since the poker boom. He's not on par with a Phil Hellmuth or a Phil Ivey, but he was certainly a pro. He's put in his dues. He knows the industry, and he's going to know what he needs to do and how to capitalize on this great accomplishment of his. So, I think we're going to see him continue to travel, continue to play, and I think he's going to do something we don't see many World Series of Poker champions do, and that's continue to win. I think he's going to put up some results, here in 2014 and going into 2015, and I think he's going to prove that he is the best main event champion quite possibly since the poker boom.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you on that either, because certainly the results speak volumes, and a lot of the guys that have won it have been a little bit of flash in the pan types, but Martin is the most established pro to get the job done here in a while. So it should be exciting to see what he can do, and hopefully he's going to spend some time in the U.S. too, and not do a P.S. Hines and disappear. So we're looking forward to seeing that. Now, also speaking of the World Series, Chad, now we had a situation where some articles have been coming up about Caesars possibly closing in on bankruptcy and how that could possibly affect the World Series. Do you see anything happening with the World Series possibly going out of Caesars' hands in this situation with a possible bankruptcy coming up?
Well, I mean, I've heard, Caesars bankruptcy rumors or them looking to sell the World Series for, it seems like it pops up at least once a year, and it's never actually happened. So I'll kind of believe it when I see it. That said, I do think that they would, give up the World Series of Poker if the right opportunity and the right deal presented itself. Let's say Amaya Gaming, for instance, came and made the right offer. I do think that Caesars would part with it. I don't think that it's obviously not a huge. It makes money. Don't get me wrong, but it takes a lot to put it on and what have you. And I think they have, as a company, they have bigger fish to fry or other things that warrant their attention. So I think if they had the right opportunity to offload the WSOP, they would. That said, I don't think they're going to do it cheaply or at a bargain basement price or what have you. But, if a legitimate, serious offer came around, I do think they would consider it.
What about Amaya Gaming offering to buy BWin, Party Poker?
Well, that's kind of why I mentioned them here. It just seems like they're in the market to try to grab as much of the poker market as they can. And, I don't know if that's going to come to fruition with BWin and Party Poker, which in turn owns the World Poker Tour. Maybe if it didn't, and Amaya wants some sort of poker tour, well, there's the World Series of Poker. This is just me speculating. I have no reason to believe that's the case, but, clearly they're in discussions with BWin, so it shows that there's some interest in expanding their poker holdings.
Hey, Chad, I have a question for you. We all know what Chris Moneymaker winning the main event did for poker. Do you think that if Felix would have won, considering he was his winnings, his overall tournament winnings were so minuscule, I think it was like 30,000 for lifetime, would that have been a better shot in the arm to develop new plays when you see a guy like Felix go from relatively winning nothing his entire career to landing not only at the final table, but actually coming in a very solid second? Do you think that would have been better for poker if he won instead of Jacobson?
No, I don't. I think with Felix, and I like him, and he's a great player, but he does remind me a lot of the P.S. Hines or the Peter Eastgate. He's an online player. He's had a lot of success playing online, and I think he prefers the comfort of being behind the screen and that kind of anonymity. So I don't necessarily think he would have been the best face as an ambassador, at least not over Martin Jacobson. And I just don't think that, be it Jacobson, be it Stevenson, or even anybody else that was at the final table, I don't think any of them could have given, poker a shot like Chris Moneymaker did over 10 years ago. And truth be told, I don't think that there's really anybody that's capable of doing that in this day and age. Maybe an amateur woman winning the main event. That might do it, but I just don't really. Poker's in just a totally different place than it was back in 2003.
Okay.
Well, speaking of a totally different place, you've done this before, Chad. I hope you're ready, because it is time for the snap call.
Because we like to make our guests squirm and suffer, let's put them through the toughest grind in poker. Get ready, everyone. It's time for the snap call.
All right, you guys know how this works. I think Chad might be the only person who's got to do this twice. What an honor for Chad Holloway. He just keeps breaking new ground at every turn. We're going to ask our guests and the panel a question of a few options. Give us your favorite choice. You guys ready to go?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
You can do it.
All right, here we go. First, let's start with Nate. I had some World Series questions ready to go, and I kept a few of them because we didn't do it last week. Nate, really, how hard is it to make a pair? 32.3%. If you listen to Antonio, it's next to impossible. Or, you know what? I've got your pair right here.
I got your pair right here.
Joe?
Mathematically, I believe it is about 32% to actually hit some of the flop and make yourself a pair. So you know me, I'm a believer in the math, so I'm going to go with that 32%.
Oh, the advantage guy. Chad?
Well, you know, I think it's A2, but as far as the WSOP main event final table is concerned, Antonio is right. It seemed dang near impossible for any of them to actually flop a pair.
All right. Joe, if Caesars had to sell the WSOP, it would be good for poker, bad for poker. If they move it somewhere near a beach, I'm happy.
Wow. Well, I don't think the location is really going to make a difference in how good or how bad the World Series is. I think the World Series in itself is something that you can hold in someone's backyard and it still would be successful. So I think selling it, I don't think it doesn't matter who gets it as long as it's running. It's going to be a good thing.
Chad?
You know, I think I agree that as long as it's running, it's a good thing. But I think if Caesars were to sell it right now, it might be perceived as a bad thing. Overall, you know, WSOP is one of the biggest foundations in the poker world, and I would hate to see that foundation rocked, especially with other things like online poker going on.
Hey. Nate is sneezing. All right. We'll go to the next question. Chad,
it would be a bad thing for poker. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. Chad, dust up between Brazilians and Will Talking fans at the World Series this year. Harmless fun. Could have gotten nasty if there was a translator, or total grounds for invasion.
What was the first one?
Harmless fun.
I'd say harmless fun. You know, it's a very pressure-filled situation. Everybody came a long way to cheer up their person. Maybe things get a little boiled, but it's all in good fun. That's what they came there to do.
Nate?
Good fun, absolutely.
Joe?
Well, having had the privilege of sitting in the midst of the Brazilians when we were down to 10 players trying to get to 9, and those people are they are funny, they're having a good time, and I believe it was just all in good fun.
I say invade. Anyway. Let's see. Nate, let's go with this one. Rate Dan Coleman's need for a PR agent at this time. It just doesn't matter. He could stand to make a few calls, or he should have had 100 resumes on his desk yesterday.
Yesterday, for sure.
Joe?
I just don't think it matters. Dan Coleman's going to do whatever Dan wants to do, and everybody beware. So, doesn't matter.
Chad?
I'll say if it was me and I were in his shoes, I would have had a PR agent months ago.
There you go. Let's go to Joe. Joe, how cold is it? It's so cold Nate Dowland's heart is warmed up to Phil Hellmuth. It's so cold Joe Pane put on a Flyers jacket. It's so cold. It's so cold Chad Holloway lit his comic books on fire.
Well, I will tell you this: I will never, ever put on a Flyers jacket. So it could never be that cold for me.
And I'll never warm up to Phil.
There you go.
Well, I will burn my comics because I'm getting tired of moving them all around. I mean, there's literally thousands, and these things weigh a ton.
Oh my
I've
God!
had to
Yeah,
move
I've
comics
been
before. That's no fun.
Oh,
It hurts your back.
Oh, it is no fun. So I guess we're lighting Chad's comic books on fire. That's too bad. Chad, new Marvel movie that's been announced. You're most excited about? Captain Marvel,
Yeah.
Black Panther, Doctor Strange, or the Inhumans?
Oh, that's very good question. Very tough. And I'm just going to say it's a toss-up between Black Panther and Doctor Strange, but I'm going to go with Doctor Strange. I don't know. I just like the whole mystic arts type of stuff.
Nate?
I'm sorry, I'm back. I missed the call. I missed the question.
So you don't count. Joe?
I'm not a big fan of comic books, but the movie that needs to be made is the Ted Forrest, Mike Matusow movie. That's the movie that's just waiting to be happening.
Oh, my God. Unbelievable. All right, well, there's your snap call, kids. Chad, another outstanding job of the snap call. You're a pro now. How about that?
Yeah, I'm liking it. I feel like I just won, back-to-back bracelets in the snap call.
There you go.
Oh, Wow, don't get greedy there, Holloway. All right, everybody, let's take a break, and we'll be right back here on the Mark Hoke Show. Thanks for being with us. I'm down in Florida at the Seminole Hard Rock and Roll Poker Open. Stick around, everybody. We'll be right back.
Hi everyone, Mark here. If you're a poker player like me and looking for something different and exciting to play, you should give open-faced Chinese poker a shot. It has just the right mix of skill, luck, plus a huge dose of the fun factor we're all looking for. There's a reason open-faced Chinese poker has everyone from the recreational player to the top pros hooked on its thrills, action, and unique social interactions you won't find in Hold'em. An incredible game like this has got to be worth checking out. And it's easy to learn, especially by using the ABC Chinese Poker app. Download the ABC Chinese Poker app on iTunes today and find out what everyone's talking about. And if you have questions about the game, tweet at ABC Chinese Poker and they'll be glad to help you along. So join the open-faced Chinese poker community today with the ABC Chinese Poker app, and we'll see you at the tables.
Nevada poker players, it's time to get in the game with the Nevada Poker League. Play for free to win cash at every location, plus you also can win poker cruises and even a $10,000 World Series of Poker main event seat. It's a great way to play poker at no risk, make new friends, and build up your poker bankroll. The Nevada Poker League is never closed and is running games 7 days a week at a location near you. So what are you waiting for? Visit the NevadaPokerLeague.com right now for all the info. Don't wait. Play poker for free and cash in today with your friends at the Nevada Poker League.
There's nothing better than sitting down to play poker with good friends and cutting loose. And that's what you're going to find when you tune in to Poker Night in America. Poker Night in America is revolutionizing televised poker in a big way. With all the action you love and the hilarious fun you've been missing. Come take a seat at the table with all your favorite players, old and new, with Poker Night in America. Sunday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific on CBS Sports Network. And don't forget to visit the show online at PokerNight.com. So pull up a chair and join us Sundays on Poker Night in America.
The poker action never stops at Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. We have millions of reasons for you to be a part of our 4th annual Seminole Hard Rock Rock and Roll Poker Open, November 13th through December 3rd. Time to go all in. Opening event starts November 13th with a $500,000 guaranteed prize pool. Play in any of the events leading up to the championship at the premier poker destination. The Seminole Hard Rock Rock and Roll Poker Open Championship begins November 28th through December 3rd with a guaranteed prize pool of $2 million. Final table of the championship will be live streamed by Poker Night in America and aired on CBS Sports. Space is limited. Visit shrpo.com or the poker room for registration and details. Only at Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Hollywood. Must be 21 to play slots and table games and at least 18 to play live poker. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
It's time for you to check out RogueWire.com. News, sports, entertainment, and the internet home of The Mark Hoke Show. Don't wait. Let the sparks fly from your computer at RogueWire.com. And of course, RogueWire.com is powered by BlueRail.net. For over 2 years, The Mark Hoke Show has trusted BlueRail.net as their exclusive host, and you can too. Visit BlueRail.net for top-level web hosting, website building and maintenance, one-on-one customer service, and much more. It's time to get on board with your winning combination. BlueRail.net and RogueWire.com. How far do you want to go?
Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Then follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show and like our Facebook page at The Mark Hoke Show for show news and outstanding poker content from around the world. Plus, enjoy the show anytime by subscribing to our podcasts on iTunes or at markhokeshow.podbean.com. We're even on your mobile phone at markhokeshow.podbean.com/mobile. Thanks for listening and being a part of The Mark Hoke Show.
Now, let's return to The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
All right, and we are back here with Chad Holloway and, of course, Nate Dowland and Joe Pane on the line. And I am Mark Hoke, believe it or not. And we're here on The Mark Hoke Show. Thanks for joining us. I want to remind everybody The Mark Hoke Show is powered by BlueRail.net and brought to you by Blind Squirrel Apparel, the Nevada Poker League, PokerShop.com, the new book Poker Tilt by Dutch Boyd, RogueWire.com, and ABC Chinese Poker. Download that app, play some Chinese poker. Chad still owes me like $32 from the Chinese poker game a series ago, by the way. I didn't forget, Chad.
You know, we'll settle up here next time I'm in Vegas.
Fair enough. I think I was going to let that one slide. Hey, I also want to mention real fast, by the way, I want to give a quick shout-out to Katie Stone of the Grindettes. Katie was going to be doing the Poker Night in America show down here, but unfortunately that back injury she suffered, she is going to be out of commission and is going to miss the show. So we're really sad for Katie Stone on that, but I'm sure she'll get another opportunity on Poker Night in America pretty soon, and want to wish her all the best in getting better. She just found that out today. So we love you, Katie. We miss you, and hope everything's going to be all right for you. Speaking of medical stuff, by the way, Chad, you had a great story. We have some good news coming up in the poker world with Flap is back on the tables. How about that?
Yeah, I was ecstatic to hear about Kevin Boudreau. As you mentioned earlier in the show, he suffered a traumatic brain injury. Just collapsed during the 2013 World Series of Poker. Went out to a dinner break and with some friends and was walking in the parking lot and just hit the ground. And they took him to the hospital and found out it was a very rare condition in his brain. And, everyone thought, even the doctors and his close friends didn't think he was going to make it. And, fortunately he did. He ended up going back home to Colorado to recoup, and it's been a long road. He's still continuing to improve, but, to actually return to tournament poker for the first time at the Mid-States Poker Tour Golden Gates is such a huge and inspirational step. He did visit the WSOP this past summer, but all he played in a satellite, with some friends. So it wasn't anything too serious. Here it was an $1,100 buy-in tournament, and not only did he play, he actually, kicked some butt. The Poker News reporter that was there actually told me he was tearing up his opponents, running over the table, and he ended up finishing fourth in that event out of 500. It was a 500-player field, and it's incredibly inspirational. I knew Kevin, for a long time now, and it gets me so excited. Like, after all the negative stuff that happens in the poker world, to see something like this, it's so uplifting, and to see him succeed like that is very exciting, and I can't wait for him to continue to improve and hopefully continue to win in the poker world.
Yeah, it's a great story. I'm glad we got to finish up with that today. But Chad, where are you going to be headed next? What's going on with Chad Holloway?
I'm actually going to be home for a while. I think probably through the new year. The poker schedule picks up in January, as you know, with the Aussie Millions and the PCA and some other stops. So I think I'm going to be home through the holidays, and while I'm here, I'm just going to get caught up on a lot of work. Actually just finished writing a chapter. I'm going to be contributing to a book. I can't reveal too many more details than that, but, I'm actually going to have a chapter in a poker book, which I'm very excited about. And, just trying to finish up some other projects that I'm working on before getting back out on the road for Poker News.
Well, that's awesome. Hey, and guys, make sure you follow Chad on Twitter, Chad A. Holloway, and, of course, read his work on Poker News. And just one of the great guys in poker. We love Chad so much. And, Chad, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. Do appreciate it.
Yeah, I want to thank all you guys for having me. As always, it's been a blast, and I look forward to the next time.
Outstanding. Well, hey, don't forget, everybody, if you want to catch more of the Mark Hoke Show, once again, we are live down here at Seminole Hard Rock on markhokeshow.com. We've got all the great guests down here. We've got a $2 million guarantee event coming up. Should be a great time. Of course, you can follow us on the blog. I'm blogging all night long, every night, kids, at shrpo.com. And, of course, don't forget to follow our show at Mark Hoke Show on Twitter, Facebook, The Mark Hoke Show. Guys, thanks for a great show, and holding down the fort for me.
Hey, Mark, before you sign off, I just want to remind you to tune into the Ranger Flyer game and watch the Rangers crush the Flyers tonight on NBC Sports Network. I'm sure you'll be able to get that in Florida, so... Because that's where I'm headed. I'm not heading home to listen to Obama's speech. I'm heading home to watch the Rangers crush the Flyers.
All right, there you go. Well, thanks for being with us, everybody. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week on the Mark Hoke Show. Thanks for doing this.